Hey there. If you follow us, you know my name is Scott Talley, and I'm the broker here at Five Market Realty in Athens, Georgia. And what we like to do each month is two market reports to help people stay informed on Athens Area Real Estate. And of course, another market report later in the month will be focused more on national trends. But today is Wednesday, February 1st, and we're going to be looking specifically at the Athens area and the counties around it, like Watkinsville, Jackson County, Madison County. And we're going to be talking about that. If you have an interest in Athens Area Real Estate, you're in the market, you're thinking about the market, or if you just want to stay informed, be sure to click subscribe. You'll get notified when we have another video to share with you, because we like to just track it monthly to keep you informed on what's going on. And we're now 31, 32 days into the new year of 2023. We had a very back end of the year that was very turbulent, and it's going to be interesting to see how this year goes. So what we're going to talk about is pretty much we've seen a slow start of 2023, but we are seeing demand start to return already with buyers. And there are some indicators and a lot of narrative out there that people are saying, I'm waiting for the prices to come down, or I'm waiting for this type of mortgage rates. We're going to explain to you why it doesn't seem that prices are going to be going much further down in our area, because specifically in Athens, we're kind of seeing a different metric than you might be seeing in other parts of the country. So as you know, if you follow us, we like to track going back 3 years. Now, this year in 2023, we only have a little small first month of the year to look at, but we're still going to compare it to 2021 and 2022. So we look at the new listings, the days on market, average sold price, and the total amount of homes sold. We'll pull up 2023, and frankly, the numbers are so much lower, it's a little staggering. If we look at the amount of new listings, this is as of Wednesday afternoon on February 1st, it's 82 in Clark and Oconee County. That is far below what we've seen. I mean, we would like to see high 100s, 200. You can see that's 41% below last year at 139. Days on market is going up. That's mostly attributed to listings that are sitting on the market from the back half of the year, but it's now up 40% at almost 60 days. Average sold price up a little bit. We're going to dive into that and why that sold price. There's a narrative there that I want to explain to you about the average sold price when you go across the entire board. And then the total amount of homes sold. This is the most staggering number to me. Clark and Oconee County, a combined 58 homes, probably maybe 59 by now, but 58 homes, 14 in Oconee as of yesterday. Maybe one or two came through today, and then the rest 44, I think, will be here in Clark County. So we're going to take a look at this and compare it to January of the last 3 years. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring this out. You can see for the far left, that's 2021. We had 206 new listings come to market. These are not existing homes. These are new properties that came to the market. Now, 2021 was a different January in some respects because of COVID, it was kind of acting a little differently in 2021 than it might in January, but still over 60% down in new listings to market in January of this year. That is what we're seeing is going to have to change. If we're going to see something change, then we need more listings. And I'm going to look at that a little bit further. Let's take another slide here. We're going to look at pre-pandemic, before the pandemic, when it changed all of our lives in the world. And then, obviously before we started printing money as we were in the pandemic. What was 2019? 2019 was a robust real estate market. It was strong. It wasn't abnormal, but it was strong. In the month of January, we saw over 225 new listings come to market. And this year, we're now 64% less than that. So this is a real narrative that we want to see change in the Athens real estate market. It's February 1st for me, maybe February 2nd or later in the month for you. The next 120 days, 90 days really, I want to see a better supply of homes so we can have more inventory, because right now we're seeing some metrics that with interest rates calming down a little bit, that we are seeing buyers enter the market. So even if the demand for buyers is half of what it was last year or maybe 2021, if we don't have a supply of homes that goes up, you're still going to have a really tight market. And that's not going to allow home prices. As some people have said, we've had buyers that have said, well, I talked to my parents and they were saying to wait for the crash or to wait for the prices to come down. I'm not trying to be a salesman here. I'm going to explain to you why we're seeing things that don't indicate that's going to happen, at least in the Athens metro area. So this is the monthly inventory of homes. What we started in July was things we weren't doing is the active homes for sale. Not this under contract, not this active pending or pending contingencies. How many homes are actively for sale? Started in July. We did it on the 5th, right after the 4th of July. If you remember, this is probably right after one of the big interest rate pushes of last year. We saw a really low supply. Then as we got into August, September, we saw some good indicators. Now, let me move my head here. We were over 220, and this line stayed there. This was a time when things were normalizing or felt a little normalizing in inventory, still a seller's market, but we saw a little bit more negotiations, and we've still seen that in December and January for certain properties. But there's also properties at certain price points where it's still very competitive. The problem we've got is we expect to see a dip in new listings in the monthly inventory of homes as we go towards the end of the year, like we did right here, December to January. But we were hopeful to see a little bit more of a flattening or an uptick January to February. And because of that low amount of homes that came to market, it actually went down. So we're at an all-time low supply for January of new homes. And our overall supply of homes, I think, in Clark and Oconee is down, what is it, 179 is the number there. So let's take a look at this next slide. Monthly total sales activity. We've been tracking this since November of 2020. That's what the slide says. We actually now are going back only to January. And January 2021, so it's 2 full years. You can see in 2021 in June was the peak. We were over 250 sales, staying above that. And then getting into September, where we'd like to see it is around 200. This red line, maybe below 200, that would probably recognize a more normal market. But folks, since June, we haven't gotten anywhere close to that. We've just been falling off, and that represents what we've seen in interest rates. This is a market that's really tight. This is a market that has less transactions. This is not a market that prices are tumbling. That is the narrative that I think we need to correct to people, is that rollback that I've talked about in other videos. We've experienced that. We've gone away from the frantic frenzy of the market. And what's going to happen in 2023 is going to be a new market. That's what we want to start to watch and start to see what happens now. Average home sale price. We look back at this. This is going several months back to almost a year ago. If you recall, when we got to October, it was the first time that we had not seen the previous year's average home sale price. This is the average of all the home sales, Clark and Oconee County. It was the first time we saw it go down from the previous year. It happened in October, and then we saw a balance in November. So what was happening there? Was that representing a trigger in the market? We were looking to see what was going on. Well, it's really talking about what's selling in the market. You saw in December here, because of some other sales that happened at the end of the year, we saw this outpace the year before. And then right here, as we go into January of this year, it's almost neck and neck, 404 to 401. Question mark is, what is going to happen from there? Well, I did a little deeper dive into some sell prices to kind of show you what's really going on with this, of the home prices. So what I did is, in our new MLS, the old one that I used to utilize was a little bit easier for me to pull stats. The new MLS that we utilize, not your problem. I have to do it a little bit more manually, and I want to get the numbers right. So what we're doing here is we're extracting only residential homes. We're not doing land. We're not doing commercial buildings. We will include a residential investment property because it's a residence, but not raw land and not a commercial building or something like that. So these are the breakdown of the homes sold by price point. Over $1 million, very few, small percentage, combining that with the ones of 700 to 500. It's really only about 5%. But here's the staggering number. This is why that number has flattened. It's because where things are transacting in our market. We're not seeing as many of those $700,000 home sales. That market is really tight, especially over $1 million. 72.5% of the sales were below $350,000 over the last 90 days. That means in Clark County, the whole real estate market was basically being driven by condos or homes that were selling in that 300 price range. And we have a lot more of those in Clark County. Over the last 90 days, there were 175 sales. If you go to Oconee County, which we're going to look at next, there were only about 59 sales. So if we look here, Oconee County the last 90 days, this pie graph is a little bit more balanced, but there is some problems here. 21% did sell under $350,000, along with another 28% making up $350 to $500. That's about half the market. Saw about 6%. Keep in mind, there's some decimal percentages here. This should add up to 100, but if it doesn't, that's why. But about 6% of the market sold over $1 million. And then the rest of the market was $500,000 to $700,000, representing the other half. So one of the things we've got going on here is Oconee County and the growth in our area. So we actually had a meeting this morning. We met with a demographics expert talking about the growth of the Athens area, Athens Central, all the counties around it like Oconee, Jackson, Jefferson, talking about Madison, Oglethorpe, even going down to Monroe, Barrow County. So what's going on is Athens metropolitan area, which is Athens and the 5 counties around it, is now the 3rd highest growing county in the area in the Southeast. First is Raleigh. Second is Charleston. Third is your Athens, Georgia. And the thing we have here is we're going to continue to have a demand for homes, but we're not really well positioned to create a supply of homes. So for instance, Oconee County is very desirable. However, there's not a ton of infrastructure there. And as you can see, this is a market. If we're talking about the last 90 days, 60 home sales, This is the classic MLS. It doesn't include something that listed in Georgia MLS, something that listed in FMLS. So yes, there would be more than 60. But in the number one primary MLS that we use in this area, there's not. And that means that is a market that's barely transacting. So how is that going to make home prices go down? If your grandfather's telling you that, I appreciate his advice and his wisdom, but this is something we haven't seen before. So if we have any type of demand, which we are seeing from our mortgage brokers, we are seeing, and I went from almost no buyers at the end of December to now working with 8 just myself to try to find a property. So this is what we've got. And we're also seeing that this is becoming a barrier problem to enter Oconee County. I go back here to Clark County. Look, 72.5% of the sales were below $350,000. That's a lot of different transactions, obviously condos, possibly investment properties, more affordable properties that are further out. But if you go here, that's not happening in Oconee County. So a lot of the younger first-time home buyers are finding it hard to purchase in Oconee. For instance, right now, 40% of the homes in Oconee County are valued over $500,000. So what we're seeing and what's projected in our area is we're going to continue to grow. But places that might benefit from this are areas like Oglethorpe County, areas like Madison County, areas in Barrow and Jefferson where affordability might be easier for someone to find than it has been in other counties. So what we want to talk to you about is just keeping you informed. The next 90 to 120 days will tell us what this market's going to be. I think we've seen the worst, and I think we've seen the worst of mortgage rates. So if you're thinking about something, be realistic about it, because while we might see prices do this and maybe do this, I don't think in the Athens area we should be expecting a very significant fall off because we're not seeing the supply. What could change that? A glut of homes coming on the market that does kind of balance out what we've been seeing, or what if interest rates were to continue to go severely up? But in the current climate, it's feeling like interest rates might be below 6%, and it might be that way for the foreseeable future. So let's watch the supply and demand. If you need to do something, feel free to reach out to our group, 5M Realty, info@5M Realty. We talk to people now to do something in the summer. We get a plan in place and we start educating you to help you get all the options available. Be sure to click subscribe if you have interest in Athens Area Real Estate. Thank you for sticking with us for 12 minutes and getting this information. Have a great February. Tomorrow's Groundhog's Day. I can't even remember it's good to see a shadow or not. Either way, spring usually comes about March 21st. Y'all have a great February. Thanks again.